Guys, who would have thought, but the CU update is simply one of the best updates in recent years. But Leo, what's with that wording? Why CU update? Well, it's been a few days since Minecraft posted an image on their official Instagram of a mine where you can see the letter C and the letter U in the background. And well, for those who don't know, Cu in English can mean Cu, or it can also be the chemical symbol for copper on the periodic table. The corner of the image contains coordinates. Coincidentally, 29 is copper's atomic number, 11 its group, and 63.54 refers to its atomic mass on the periodic table. And 63.54 is basically a reference to the atomic mass of copper. So yes, that was basically a spoiler that we would be getting an update involving copper. Today's video is dedicated to the miracle of resurrection. Let's discuss a mob that perished on the beach, revived from rust, and returned to show that Mojang occasionally heeds the community's voice. You'd better get your carved pumpkins ready because yes, the Cooper Golem is officially real. It also includes a new chest, blocks, equipment, and a memorable history lesson. Well, starting from the beginning, like every beautiful love story where the brunette you had a crush on turns you down and only wants you years later, back in 2021 in the infamous and much criticized mob vote, Mojang introduced us to three creatures. The Glare, which almost no one remembers, the Alley, which became a reality, and him, the Copper Golem. A golem made of copper that would go around randomly pressing copper buttons. As usual, Mojang didn't provide many details about its additional capabilities. Even though it had a cool appearance and a big part of the community loved it, the one that ended up being chosen was Ale. In the following years, it was practically useless and forgotten as it was essentially crap. After 4 years, we will finally have access to the runner-up of that vote. And unlike furniture that spawns on its own, the Cooper Golem needs an intermediary, just like the Iron Golem. To build it, you need a copper block and a carved pumpkin. By putting the two together, placing the pumpkin on top as if it were a head, the little creature comes to life instantly, and as a bonus, a copper chest is generated next to it. And hold on, it's not just any chest, because it comes with a much more relevant function than just an aesthetic difference. The Cooper Golem can collect the items you left in the mess inside it and organize everything into regular chests. It's basically an automatic item organizer. I keep thinking about people like Vinicius13 who always made those huge redstone systems to organize items automatically, and now a simple golem does that? Whether you like it or not, Mojang really knows how to please the community. The long-awaited inventory update is a perfect fit, as it has been one of the most requested updates. Despite the game being out for over 15 years and the inventory remaining practically unchanged, more than 500 new items have been added. Recently, the influx of new things has become more problematic than beneficial. That's why a 1-block tall slave that does the boring work for you is a blessing. Besides that, there's another element that makes the Cooper Golem special, and this one is definitely an aesthetic element. Besides walking around all rusty, it oxidizes over time, just like the copper block. There are 4 stages of oxidation, going from shiny to completely green. And if you prefer the orange look, just apply some beeswax to it. And if you want to freshen up the look, just use a machine on it to remove the patina quickly and easily. And an important detail is that it doesn't lose its function due to oxidation, so it's up to you to decide what look your unpaid worker will have. And about how this organization works, the copper chest is like the command center for the Cooper Golem. Once it detects an item's presence, it transports up to 16 of them to a regular chest. If a chest already contains an item type it's transporting, it will prioritize storing that item type in the same chest. And well, how does all of this work? From a technical perspective, basically think of it as a loot vacuum with a built-in Excel spreadsheet and short-term memory loss. If a Cooper Golem isn't holding any item, it will go to the nearest copper chest to try to take out up to 16 units of the first item it finds, as I mentioned. The Cooper Golem moves to the nearest unvisited copper chest if the current one is empty. The Copper Golem remembers up to 10 copper chests it has already visited, and if it has visited 10 copper chests and still hasn't found any items, it wanders for 7 seconds, forgetting which chest it has already visited, then goes back to look for another copper chest to take out more items. Poor guy, he's just like the crew from 2004 to 2008, the CLT crew going from chest to chest looking for a job and running all over the place. And well, if the Copper Golem is holding an item or a set of items, it will go to the nearest regular chest to try to store those items. If you have multiple Copper Golems, each one performs the same task without repetition. They divide the work, organizing different areas. It's basically an army of janitors and chimps who don't complain about their salary and still rust in style. For miners who work long hours, this rest is well deserved, and whether you like it or not, it's really awesome and good. Personally, I just thought it's way too cheap. Seriously, it could be a little harder to make this Cooper Golem. Essentially, you can get unlimited organizers. Even Vinicius Tres posted a video about it on Twitter. It's a really cool idea where you combine the alley with the Cooper Golem. Basically, the alley would be responsible for picking up the irises from the ground. Since the Cooper Golem doesn't pick up dropped irises, then the alley would take them to the Cooper Golem, who could then organize them into each chest. And, well, things don't stop there. After a long time, the update finally paved the way for a new line of tools and armor, the copper ones. In terms of efficiency and durability, they are between stone and iron. Better than stone, worse than iron, and they still can't mine diamond. The goal was to create an ideal starting point for the game. Easier iron mining and more uses for that old copper you've neglected since 2020. Just like that girl you like also ignores you. It's worth noting that these changes are experimental and Mojang is assessing the community's response before potentially adding them to the game with or without modifications. To test it, join the Bedrock Beta or Java snapshots. This goes far beyond a simple Minecraft update. Because, as I said at the beginning of the video, the Copper Golem was part of a mob vote, and since it lost the vote, it was completely discarded. And this has always caused a lot of outrage in the community in general because yes, we've had a lot of good ideas thrown away over the years. The first mob vote was in 2017 and the last one was back in 2023 where the armadillo won. We had many amazing ideas discarded, from mobs like crocodiles and monkeys to biomes like the savannah. The Copper Golem could be the first of many other ideas that were discarded and can now be reused. But Leo, what ideas are those? Well, let's take a look back at everything the community has lost in recent years and could now be getting in future updates. For example, would you like to have a Blaze 2.0 with shields and shockwaves that would make your experience in the Nether even more epic? In the first mob vote, it was one of the options. The community chose to name it Phantom, a flying mob that was a new addition to Minecraft at the time, instead of Wildfire. In 2017, other options included a giant squid that could suck you in with its mouth and the Glutton, which had the interesting ability to remove enchantments from items. In 2017, we had 3 ideas that could have been explored in different ways in future updates, which we later got through the grindstone. At the time, that would have been really useful. So, let's see what else Mojang scrapped in the following years. In 2018, the mob vote took place, which was actually the biome chooser. In it, we had to vote for the best biome option. However, an interesting detail is that the promise was that these 3 biomes would indeed be added to the game, but we would have to choose which one would be the first. And yeah, we know that was a huge lie. Anyway, the 3 options were Savannah, which would add termites, as well as new types of trees, and finally, ostriches, which would be rideable and very fast. It came in second place, and we didn't get anything similar. The next option, the desert biome with meerkats, palm trees, and oases, came in last place. Lastly, the taiga biome was the biggest winner, with the addition of sweet berries, campfires, and foxes to the game. All this fauna and flora was introduced in the Village and Pillage update. But what many people don't know is that in that same year, there was a secret vote. In this vote, only people from China could participate. China has an exclusive version of Minecraft due to government controls and restrictions there. While the whole world was voting on which biome to release first, the Chinese had the opportunity to choose between 5 options for a new mob that would be added to the game. Among the options was the Pink River Dolphin, which is basically the married women catcher from our folklore. It would live in the rivers of the jungle biome, and its only difference is that it's basically a dolphin with a pink skin. The second option would be the deer, which would bring greater diversity to the game's fauna and could spawn in the forests. If you managed to hunt it, it would drop meat and also its leather. Also in this vote, we would have the crocodile, a hostile mob that would attack you with its claws and would spawn in the swamps, having the ability to pull you underwater. And if you, even with all that, managed to eliminate it, it would drop its skin, which could be used to craft boots with special powers. I have to admit, a crocodile in the swamp would be pretty epic. Lastly, we considered a golden monkey living in the jungle, swinging between trees and not attacking you. And if you gave him an apple or a cocoa bean, he would make a trade with you and give you an item back. Since this golden monkey didn't end up going into the game, they reused this idea with the piglin bartering trades in the Nether. And last but not least, we had the panda. He eats bamboo and can sit down. Remember, it's the country's official mascot. So drumroll please, can you guess the winner? Yes, the panda. Well, I had no idea that this was the way they decided to add the panda to the game, but anyway, I think the other rejected ideas were really good too. Moving on to the next year, in 2019, Minecraft celebrated its 10th anniversary, and interestingly, its dark age was coming to an end. It even brought in YouTubers like PewDiePie and Felipe Neto. It was in that same year that Fuse lost his 5-year hardcore world, and our beloved Technoblade began to stand out, showing everyone his PvP skills like no one else ever had before. And continuing as usual, in 2019 we had the Biome Chooser, where the biomes that didn't win were supposedly going to be added in the future. The first option we had was the mountains, which would bring a new world generation, as well as goats as a new mob and new snow-related blocks. The second biome would be the swamp, bringing frogs, mangroves, and boats with chests. It was the second most voted that year and was included from version 1.19. The third biome up for voting was the Badlands, which came with weeds, flowering cacti, and vultures. Sadly, this biome was never mentioned again. In 2019, Mojang also created Minecraft Earth, a game similar to Pokemon Go but set in the Minecraft universe. Basically a mobile augmented reality game, but as we know today, it didn't work out very well and we never talked about it again. On June 30, 2021, it was shut down and the team was reassigned to areas that add more value to the block games community. Similarly, Mojang released Minecraft Dungeons the next year, featuring new weapons, items, mobs, a main villain quest, and several fresh environments to explore. With an action and adventure vibe, it was something quite different for the time. As an Easter egg, an arcade version of Minecraft Dungeons was released in 2021. The mechanics are the same as the original, but the difference is that you can collect real-life cards. Minecraft Dungeons features multiple unique dungeons and numerous distinct bosses. My favorite, in my opinion, is that stone and redstone boss that honestly would be interesting to have in the game somehow because these dungeons make the adventure and exploration much more interesting. We've arrived at the most contentious year, the 2020 mob vote. The three options, as you all remember, were basically the mobloom, a type of yellow mushroom cow that left a trail of flowers every time it walked. They could also interact with bees and would spawn in flower forests. We could also choose the ice logger, an epic wizard from the villager class who would live in the mountains, throwing ice blocks on the player's head. Even Felipe Neto and I agreed at the time that this would be the best mob to choose.
The Ice Logger was by far the best mob, by far. It was a new enemy that would inhabit the mountains. When we were crossing mountains, it would appear and summon thunderstorms that would attack the opponent. He would also cause blizzards. It would be so awesome. You could create adventure events like going out to capture and kill these monsters. This useless, not rare Paka.
That's everywhere. And lastly, we had a really boring option, right, that nobody would vote for. It was basically a glowing squid that wandered in the deep ocean just glowing. It did nothing, just had LEDs and glowed. Guess who won? Yes, the squid. Repeat after me, democracy is a mistake, but why would the community deliberately choose the worst option? In that year, the most popular Minecraft YouTuber at his peak encouraged fans to vote for the worst mob option out of three, the glowing squid, which was the most useless. A curious fact is that at least the S logger actually existed in the Minecraft Dungeons version, but other than that, in the main game, the idea was apparently discarded forever. F in the chat. Moving on to 2021, we had a calm year until the voted mob was added. This year's mob vote caused a lot of drama because the options only seemed balanced. The first option would be the glare, which is basically a ghost that would warn you where mobs could spawn because it's too dark. This would be very useful on Bedrock as there's no F3 debug screen that shows technical information. The second option would be a copper golem that would help you in your farms by pressing copper buttons. This would basically change Minecraft into an industrial version where you could automate your farms using an unpaid copper golem. Interestingly, it could also transform due to copper oxidation. Yes, Minecraft involves science too. However, the third option was the most voted and chosen by the public. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know LA? Basically, his advertisement was misunderstood by a large part of the foreign community. Because of his little video that was released in his advertisement, people thought he was going to duplicate items. He was going to pick up the dropped item, take a walk, and come back with double. In Brazil, we understood that alley would be like an automatic transporter, a floating funnel that picks up items and takes them elsewhere. Mojang wasn't clear enough regarding the mob vote between the alley and the copper golem, even though the alley's victory seemed fair and interesting. And the alley is practically useless. It can only carry one item at a time, and no, it doesn't duplicate items or take them out of chests. From that year onward, the community began to scrutinize the mob vote more closely. The next year, tensions escalated for Mojang, with allegations of fraud emerging. But first, let's suffer with the mob options that could have been added but weren't. The first one would be the tough golem, which is basically another golem that would serve as a kind of decoration. It could hold an item while it was sleeping and would move with the item when it was awake, returning to its starting point to sleep again. And it was also said that you could stack them, but in my opinion that would look kind of weird. And we also had Rascal, who would spawn in abandoned mines and hide, where the player's goal was to find him 3 times, and that way he would reward you with any enchanted item. After that, he would teleport away, but the winning mob was the Sniffer. The promotional video stated that the player must locate the creature's egg in underwater ruins, and that it would be a prehistoric creature within the Minecraft universe. This suggests they are extinct until Steve discovers and revives them, which is significant for the game's lore. Its purpose would be to explore and discover new seed types and ancient flowers. Honestly, out of the 3 choices, the Sniffer was undoubtedly the clear winner. The publicity for the Sniffer was much bigger than for the other options, and technically it was going to explain the game's lore a bit better, since even after more than 10 years of history, there isn't really a specific lore in this blocky game. Previously split votes now favor the Sniffer, a new mob added to the game, with 55% of the votes. However, reality differed greatly from what they said, as life isn't always easy. When it was added, it spawns alone in the cherry blossom biome and gives 2 types of flowers that, at least for now, do absolutely nothing. That's also how the rumors started that Mojang is lazy. And with all these criticisms being pointed out for years, 2023 was the breaking point for Minecraft fans and became a really complicated year for Mojang. They started by releasing Minecraft Legends, which is a third-person real-time action and strategy game. The goal of the game is for the player to collect resources, build defenses, and battle against hordes of piglins to stop the spread of their nether corruption. As widely known, the game rapidly lost popularity after launch, with a small active player base and reports of discontinued support, signifying another setback for Mojang. Keeping with tradition, the Mob Vote 2023 was the most recent and controversial one, sparking the hashtag #StopTheMobVote. The options were penguins, cute animals that are slow on land and fast in water, helping to speed up your boat. We also had crabs, which appeared in mangroves and could drop their claw, which would be used to increase the player's building reach. So, just imagine yourself with an epic mechanical arm, being able to build from farther away or even break blocks from a greater distance. Lastly, the armadillo, which simply rolls, emerged victorious in the end. Found in hot biomes, it curls up for protection. Its shell can be used to make wolf armor. Armor for wolves is a compelling narrative, but it's also where the controversy intensifies. As you may have noticed, there isn't very precise information about the mobs, since in the case of the crab, for example, we don't know the exact block distance it can place. The number of blocks could range from just 1 to over 10. This feature would be extremely overpowered and significantly alter the game's mechanics. Because it's something so broad, you can see how it's clear that we don't really know exactly what we're voting for. The hashtag emerged due to this lack of information and other issues. Stop the mob vote. So you can see the level they started making images as if it were war propaganda because of a vote to decide which mob would be added to a blocky game. And besides these problems mentioned, the purpose of this hashtag was to ask if it's really fair for half the community to be happy and the other half to be upset, if it's really fair for us to vote for just a single mechanic in the game. Why can't Mojang just add all 3 options? Are they, like me, allergic to a work permit? Are they repelled by labor laws? Why isn't it possible? Do they work 5 minutes a year? So in that sense, a good part of the community started to agree that Mojang is lazy. Even though the 1.21 update has better expectations and prospects, it's still possible to get a little more frustrated because we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company with a team that was once able to make bigger updates and listen to its audience. Unfortunately, since 2020 the game has been declining and it's up to Mojang to take action to restore the game's hype. This video focused on official topics, but many discarded ideas and memes were not discussed. For example, the April Fool's updates. This year we had an epic potato dimension. With new items, new technology, that makes houses fly. Anyway, since it's a meme update, they release a bunch of epic stuff. Just like last year when there was the Moon Dimension 2, lots of ideas that would easily please the community, just like mods, because Mojang ignores mods that are famous and have been approved for over 10 years, like the Ether mod, which is a new, very epic, very famous dimension with a very high approval rate. Why doesn't Mojang implement it in the official game? Why isn't there a mod vote so we can vote for the best mod? Tinker's Construct, the simplest mod, introduces new tools and ores. Anyway, what Minecraft doesn't lack is ideas, so please leave your idea here too.